Good Shabbos.
Look in the camera. Work with me. I'm gonna shut the shades.
Shalom, Sharon.
Hi, Sharon.
Sharon, you're muted. We can't hear you.
Hi.
I don't know why it's not mute. Do you want me to try? Oh, here we are. Here.
Shabbat shalom,
Shabbat
friends.
shalom.
Lisa, I have a question for
Shalom,
you.
everyone. Happy Pride.
Oh, I like his balloons.
I love the Rabbi Joshua we have.
I don't know why we can't hear it.
Hi, Roy and Adrian.
Let me make it bigger.
Marcy and Elisa,
Yes.
just put in the chat who's doing the candle lighting and who's doing the reading.
Okay.
Both doing both.
Suppose we could hold them up like.
Oh, you're together. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Lisa is under Marcy and both of them.
I'm gonna try to get back in again.
So I'm gonna do the Shabbat candles and she's gonna read right after.
Awesome.
I'm also doing the announcement that I wrote.
Except the reading doesn't happen till later, Marcy. So you're reading right after.
I try to get out of audio here.
Is that because you
Hey,
don't?
Double.
It's good to see you.
Linda Weisskopf says hi to you. I'm so glad to see you. It's been a little while. Hi, Double. Margie and Steve say hi.
Hi, Margie. Hi, Steve. Happy birthday, Ruben.
Happy birthday, Ruben.
Thank you.
Oh, happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Ruben.
Happy birthday, Ruben.
It was a great.
Happy birthday, Ruben.
The Beatles wrote a song in my honor. I'm flattered.
What song was that, Ruben?
When I'm 65. I mean,
Oh.
when I'm 64.
Girl, the song they wrote for you is called Lady Madonna.
Yeah, that's right. Thanks, Blanche.
You're most
Thought you were
welcome.
gonna say you say it's your birthday. It's my birthday too, yeah. You say it's your birthday. We're gonna have a good time.
Come on, Will, pitch in.
Glad it's your birthday.
I just want to call out Rebecca and Elka for wearing boa. Way to bring that pride spirit.
Will, welcome back home, Will.
Shabbat shalom.
Josh, you have to show us your shirt.
Nice. Sheviti Havaya. Sheviti Havaya. Lenegdi Tami. Lenegdi Tami. Sheviti Havaya Lenegi Tami Havaya 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 Ahava, 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 Havaya, 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 Ahava, Ahava, Ahava.
Good Shabbos, everyone. Shabbat Shalom. Pride Sameach. I'm so excited to be celebrating our Pride Shabbat with all of you. First of all, I just want to give a very warm welcome to any of our guests who are joining us this evening. If you're a guest, if this is one of your first times to Congregation Beit Haverim, please, if you're comfortable, put your name in the chat so that we can warmly welcome you. We're really glad that you've joined us, and it would be a lovely way for us to be able to say hello. Given that we're 76 squares so far. I just want to, as I'm beginning to say that we have some opportunities to fully participate using Zoom. That as we get used to being on this platform, that it's really important that we still find ways to connect as a community. For me, this is one of the highlights of my entire week. I miss seeing all of you in person. And so when possible, if I understand sometimes we have to black out our screens, or if we want to do so for privacy, I totally get that because we are live streaming. But if you're comfortable, we want to see your faces and we want to be able to look in your eyes. Like right now, I'm looking at Rich and Colleen, and so happy to see their faces, and I'm seeing Miriam from Charleston. There's just a way where we can connect by looking and greeting and seeing one another. And then also, I know that I feel comfortable singing alone, just hearing Will leading or someone else leading, when I see you singing along as well, and we create a sense of community. So I want to invite us to be fully self-expressed, to sing when we're comfortable, not just to receive. I'm somebody, I was talking to some rabbis hate the chat. I love the chat. We like to talk to each other. There is no problem. It's another form of prayer. Part of why we gather is to create community. And I believe that connecting, and whether that's private chatting or offering some things in the chat, it allows for this other dimension to really take hold. And then sometimes, if you want to focus on who's speaking, if you go to the very top corner of your Zoom, the right corner, you'll see that you have a chance, if there's many squares, you click on it, that's gallery view, or you have speaker view. If you click on speaker view, it will take you just to the main person who's speaking. So if you clicked on that, you would just see a big face, my big face, and then you probably want to go back to gallery. But otherwise, you probably want to see other people. So I'm gonna invite us to light a pride candle. And so Elisa, if you'll light our pride candle, and then immediately after, gonna invite the Caldas family to light our Shabbat candles, and then Will is going to lead us in the prayer. If you have candles with you, please light them at this time as well.
Do I say the prayer, Rabbi Josh?
The Caldices are going to also light, and then Will's going to lead us in the prayer, and you can join him when he.
Okay.
I'm having trouble finding the Caldices.
And Will, if you'll lead us in the blessing.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat ve'yom tov. Amen.
Amen. So, I want to say, as we begin our Pride Shabbat, that, we find ourselves in these moments where life is incredibly full. I remember just a few weeks ago, perhaps the very beginning of this month, we were finding a way to, recognize and honor our executive director who was leaving, and also all of the kind of the upset and the anger and frustration and kind of the despair and the sadness from the racial injustice and the lethality of our justice system. And one of the ways that we as Jews need to continue to honor our observances is to recognize that all of our feelings can be sacred, and that we come to our Shabbat as a way to honor the fullness of everything. And so I had the privilege of representing the National LGBT Task Force after the Title VII win. And I was one of 3 faith voices, and we all recognize that as celebratory as this moment is, it also was in stark contrast to all of the ways that racial justice has not yet advanced in the ways that we are committed to. And so we wanted to temper some of that joy. And so tonight, I really want to invite us to still recognize all of it. That on Pride Shabbat, we recognize the uprising of Stonewall, and that our LGBTQ ancestors, and particularly our T and Q ancestors, were the ones who actually brought a sense of protest and outrage in order to pave the way for change. And that in many ways, change happens in different ways. And so we honor their spirit, and we also take the time to celebrate how far we have come. And we also ask the important questions about when will a sense of equality and equity be there for us, because this is just a small but crucial part of the equity and equality that still awaits for us and for so many people that we are allies with. And so tonight, let us hold all of that as we move through our Pride observance. Gonna invite Will, kind of invite us to kind of bring in that sense of Shabbat spirit, and invite us that even in the midst of pain, that we still are able to find a sense of beauty.
Sing along. Everywhere, everywhere there is beauty, and I see beauty. Everywhere that I go, lift me up from despair, come and soothe me, reach right through me, hold me harder than I've ever known. Everywhere, everywhere there is beauty, I see beauty. Everywhere that I go, lift me up from despair, come and soothe me, reach right through me, hold me harder than I've ever known. cost of life is so much higher than what we had saved. A sea of frost and ice is trying to bury us under its weight. Just look around. Why is it that you're so afraid? Everywhere there is beauty. I see beauty. Everywhere that I go, lift me up from despair. Come and soothe me. Reach right through me. Hold me harder than I've ever known. A few dozen years to hang around and take things past where they were when we came. Some fly away, some run aground, some spin in circles, but if it's all the same, I'd rather walk. Will you help me find flowers on the way? Everywhere there is beauty, and I see beauty. Everywhere that I go, lift me up from despair. Come and soothe me, reach right through me. Hold me harder than I've ever known. Everywhere there is beauty, and I see beauty. Everywhere that I go, lift me up from despair. Come and soothe me, reach right through me. Hold me harder than I've ever known. Shalom Aleichem is on page 13. Shalom Aleichem, Malachi Hasharet, Malachi Elyon, Melech Malachi Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Boachem Leshalom, Malachi Hashalom, Malachi Elyon, Melech Malachi Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Baruchuni v'shalom, Malachi Hashalom, Malachi Elyon, Melech Malachi Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Tzetem Shalom, Malachi Hashalom, Malachi Elyon, Melech Malachi Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
So we're going to take a moment to, now that we have sung Shalom Aleichem and wished and welcomed the spirit, the messengers of peace, we have the opportunity to embody those messengers of peace by wishing each other a Shabbat Shalom, a Chag Sameach, a Pride Sameach, a happy Pride. We're going to go into breakout rooms. And so if somebody will take the lead and make sure that everybody introduces themselves, says hello, maybe share something that was uplifting about your week, and then we'll all come back together and finish Kabbalat Shabbat. So I will see you momentarily.
He's now streaming live on YouTube. I'm not sure what happened.
You are just in the main room. Everyone's coming back from breakout room. So it'll be back in just a minute.
Thank you.
That's fun.
Nice. So welcome back, everybody. Thinking about the extraordinary Title VII win. And as I was preparing with the other clergy, basically since the middle of May, they were preparing us for either a loss or some kind of mixed result. And they kept saying it would be rare that everybody would come out being covered. And so it felt like a miracle in many ways that this particular SCOTUS gave us this ruling. And then it wasn't even just a ruling by one, but it was a ruling by two. And so I wanted to bring this prayer that is modeled after the prayer for special holidays like Hanukkah and Purim, that talks about the kind of miracles and victories that happened in the past and happened today, and really see this victory in that way. And who better to read something about miracles, but my colleague and good friend, Rabbi Malka Packer.
Hi. Pride Sameach, everybody. It's so good to see everyone. And all the rainbows. This is so fun. Oh gosh, now I'm like looking at myself huge. Why'd you guys do that to me? Fixing that. Okay, back to gallery view. Okay. On June 15th, 2020, the Supreme Court ruled that the Civil Rights Act of 1964, which prohibits discrimination because of sex, now includes LGBTQ employees. This applies both to sexual orientation and gender identity. LGBTQ employment discrimination has disproportionately impacted Black and brown trans people living in conservative states without statewide non-discrimination protections. They now have protection. This is very good news. This is a Shehechianu moment and a sea of reminders of how much repair is still needed in the world. What a beautiful, holy moment to celebrate. I will be reading a prayer of gratitude by Rabbi Ayelet Cohen. We thank you for the miraculous deliverance, for the heroism, and for the triumphs in battle of our ancestors in other days and in our time. In the wake of the civil rights movement, lesbians and gay men, bisexuals and transgender people began to organize for the dignity and justice each of us is due as human beings on this earth. Those who profane your name, claiming that they hate us in the name of God, rose up to criminalize us, pathologize us, brutalize us, and erase us. And you, in your great mercy, stood with us in the time of our troubles. You fought alongside us, vindicated us, gave us the courage to stand together, to open our eyes and the eyes of the world around us, to see that the freedom and the right to love belongs to all your creations. You have given us the strength to witness and create wonders, to be who we are and to love whom we love, not only in the safety of home, but outside in the light of the world, to live as Jews in the embrace of community, to sanctify our unions and celebrate ourselves before each other and before you. The stone that the builders rejected has become the cornerstone. May we never know shame again. Amen. Happy Pride, y'all.
Can we get some snaps for that? So we're going to move on to our Psalms. You're going to find Shiru Ladonai on page 25.
We'll sing George Mordecai's melody for Shirul Adonai and move into Nava Tehila's melody for Yiram Hayam. Shirul Adonai, Shir Chadash, Shirul Adonai, Kol Haaretz, Shirul Adonai, Baruch Hu Shemo, Basru Miyom, Leyom Yeshuato, Dai Dai Dai, 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 Dai Dai Dai. Dai 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 dai. Shirul Adonai, Shir Hadash, Shirul Adonai, Kol Haaretz, Shirul Adonai, Baruch Hu Shemo, Basru Miyom, Leyom Yeshuato. Dai 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 dai, dai 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 dai. Dai 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 dai, dai 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 dai. Yiram Hayam Umelo, Yiram Hayam Umelo, Teva ve'yoshveva, Yiram Hayam Umelo. Yiram Hayam Umelo, Yiram Hayam Umelo, Teva ve'yoshveva, Yiram Hayam Umelo. Neharot Yimcha Uchafya Elai Elai, Yachad Harim Yeranenu, Elai Elai Elai, Neharot Yimcha Uchafya Yai lai 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 lai, Yachad Harim Yeranenu, Yiram Hayam Umelo, Yiram Hayam Umelo, Teva ve'yoshveva, Yiram Hayam Umelo. We turn to Lechadodi on page 41. This is a melody by my friend Rabbi Michael Lapidus here in Atlanta. Lecha dodi likrat kala pnei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala pnei Shabbat nekabela. Shamor v'zachor b'dibur echad, Yishmi'anu el hamyuchad, Adonai echad u'shemo echad, V'shemo tiferet v'nitilah. Lecha dodi likrat kala, pnei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala, pnei Shabbat nekabela. Hitoreri, hitoreri, ki va'orek umi ori, 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 shir daberi, kevod Adonai alayik nigla. Lecha dodi likrat kala, pnei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala, pnei Shabbat nekabela. Yaminu smoti frotzi, bet Adonai taritzi, hayarish ben patzi, v'nismecha v'nagila. Lecha dodi likrat kala, שבת נקבלה, לך דודי לקראת כלה, בני שבת נקבלה. בואי בשלום עטרת בעלה, גם בשמחה ובצהלה, תוך אמוני עם סגולה. בואי כלה, בואי כלה, לך דודי לקראת כלה, בני שבת נקבלה, לך דודי לקראת כלה, בני שבת נקבלה.
So, as we think that Lecha Dodi brings in this sense of love, and really invites us to open our hearts and express and connect with that sense of love that is all around us. James Baldwin, I'll paraphrase him, once said that, it's very rare that we've ever heard of anybody die from love, but we have seen so many times people who have died without love. And so for us to be bearers and messengers of that love is very possible. And the love of Shabbat kind of makes us think about a sweeter world, a world that's possible, a world that some would say is somewhere over the rainbow. So we move to Ma'ariv. We find the Chatzi Kaddish on page 55. Yikadah v'yikadah shemei Rabba, v'alma divrach irutei v'amlich machutei, v'ayechon v'yomechon u'vayedecho beit Yisrael. Bagala, bagala, uvizman kariv, imeru, amen. Yeheshmei Rabbo mevorach, olam leo me'amaya, yiparach. Ach, v'yishtabach, v'yipar, v'yitrumam, v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar, v'yitale, v'yitalal. Shkudesha, rihu, li'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, da'amihiran ve'alma, v'ime. Amen. So as we begin Baruch Hu and we think about the abundance of blessing, I just want to thank the Zaswicks for the blessing that they bestowed upon us. And it made me think that I wish at this moment I had a pair of ruby red slippers. I mean, to be honest, I wish I always, not just this moment, had ruby red slippers, but these ruby red slippers that I wish I had on that I could click my heels being home where I already am at, we'll be in synagogue together. So hopefully soon, but may we bask in the blessing of so much of our community's creativity and really offering. So thank you, and thank everybody who's been participating. For those who would like to rise, we find the Baruch Hu on page 57. Ya die 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 die, ya die 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 die, ya die 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 die, ya die 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 die, ya die 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 die, ya die 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 die, ya die 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 die, ya die 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 die. Baruchu et Adonai, hamevorach hamevorach.
Baruch Adonai, hamevorach leolam vaed.
Baruch Adonai, hamevorach leolam vaed. Ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la. So, we're, as an alternative to Asher Bivaro this evening, I've taken a prayer that we've said many times. It's one of my favorite prayers from Shar Zahav's prayer book, the LGBT founded synagogue in San Francisco, where my dear friend, Rabbi Michael Copeland, is the rabbi. And luckily they have put it on, they've also made it virtual recently. And so I look forward to using their prayer book more in the future. This prayer is called Twilight People. And I'm gonna invite Marcy to read it, but I just want to recognize that this is a prayer that affirms that in the liminal moments, we also recognize that our identities also don't always have to have strong understandings, that we don't have to fall into binaries of day and night, but that rather we can understand a full range of binaries. And for me, in thinking about the Title VII win, I'm so glad that my transgender siblings were fully recognized. And there's a quote that when I heard Hillary Clinton say it, it just felt really powerful, that we need to say with one voice that transgender people are valued, that they are loved, and that they are us. And for me, that feels a powerful affirmation in this prayer of Twilight People. Thank you, Marcy, for reading it.
As the sun sinks and the colors of the day turn, We offer a blessing for the twilight. For twilight is neither day nor night, but in between. We are all twilight people. We can never be fully labeled or defined. We are many identities and loves, many genders and none. We are in between roles at the intersection of histories, or between place and place. We are crisscross paths of memory and destination, streaks of light swirled together. We are neither day nor night. We are both neither and all. May the sacred in between of this evening suspend our certainties, soften our judgments, our way to the God who transcends all categories and definitions. May the in between people who've come to pray be lifted up into this twilight. We cannot always define, we can always say a blessing. Blessed are you, O God of all, who brings together the twilight.
Mavir yom umevi laila, umavdil ben yom uven laila, Adonai tzvaot shemo, El chai v'kayam, tamid yimloch aleinu le'olam va'ed, Baruch ata Adonai, ma'ariv aravim, amen. We find Ahavat Olam on page 63.
No sound, Haley.
Ahavat olam Beit Yisrael, Amcha ahavta, Torah u'mitzvot, chukim u'mishpatim, otanu limadeta. Al ken Adonai Eloheinu, b'shokveinu v'kumeinu, nasiach b'chukecha, v'nismach b'divrei Toratecha, u'v'mitzvotecha, le'olam va'ed. Ki hem chayenu v'yorech yameinu, v'yorech yameinu, uvahem nege yomam v'layla, yomam v'layla. V'yavarcha lo tatzur mimeni olamim, baruch ata Adonai, ohev amo Yisrael. Amen. It was fun kind of lip syncing for Gayan, or looking like Gayan was lip syncing for me. Sorry that our video didn't work out. We continue with the Shema on page 65. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. V'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha, b'chol levavecha, u'v'chol nafshecha, u'v'chol me'odecha, v'hayu hadvarim ha'ele, asher anochi mitzavecha, al-yom al levavecha, v'shinantam levanecha, v'dibarta bam, v'shiftecha b'veitecha, u'v'leftecha v'aderech, Ushapachaha uvakumecha, ukshartam leohot al yadecha, v'hayula totafohot bein einecha, uchtavtam al mezuzot beitecha, uvisharecha. So since 1970, Stonewall has been commemorated in June in different communities. Right? Why since 1970? Because it happened in 69. Today, we celebrate Pride in June to honor the courage to resist and rebel in the face of oppression. However, just as the rabbis were concerned about the violence that ensued during the Israelites' exodus from Egypt, there were members of our community who regretted that we resorted to violent means. It's always a complicated and challenging decision, and I think it's one that we don't make lightly. It is a value dear to both Jews and to LGBTQ people to recognize that every life has value. For we ask that others see us, that we are created in the divine image. We too must work to see those, even that we have strong, significant disagreements with, in the divine image as well. And so for me, it's about violence against lives that we need to be most mindful. We find Michamocha, this call to our freedom, this call to figure out our path, our way to end oppression, that we use these words that the Israelites sang to inspire us on our own path of finding freedom. Page 79. Michamocha
Ba'elim Adonai,
Ba'elim Adonai,
Mi kamocha,
Michamocha
Nedar ba'kodesh,
Nedar ba'kodesh,
Nora
Nora
Tehilot, Ose Fele Malchutecha Malechutecha Rahu Vanecha Bokeh hayam Lifnei Moshe u'Miriam
Lifnei Moshe v'Miriam
Ze'eli Anu ve'amru Adonai yimloch Le'olam va'ed Baruch Atah Adonai God Israel. I'm going to invite the Bloom family to offer this next reading. You'll hear that, like the Dayenu, that there's an opportunity for us to say, then it is not enough for us. So I'll invite you to say that in the refrain.
We had pride, but still were afraid to come out to family and friends.
Then it is not enough for us.
If we were comfortable to come out to family and friends, but did not have a spiritual home that celebrated us,
then it is not enough for us.
If we had a spiritual home that celebrated us, but were treated unfairly by the media,
then it is not enough for us.
if we were treated fairly by the media, but were attacked in the streets,
then it is not enough for us.
If we were safe in the streets, but not in our schools,
Then it's
Not enough for us.
if we were safe in our schools, but were discriminated against in the workplace,
Then it is not enough for us.
if we were not discriminated against in the workplace, but our lives and our deaths were seen as unimportant,
Then it is not enough for us.
if our lives and deaths were seen as important, but we were unable to unite all LGBTQ community people,
Then it is not enough for us.
if we were able to unite all LGBTQ people, but tolerated racism, ableism, sexism, and classism,
Then it is not enough for us.
If it's not
Enough for us till every person is free.
for all our hopes, dreams, goals, accomplishments, desires, and demands, we are proud to be bisexual, gay, lesbian, transgender, and queer people. For this synagogue's accomplishments, goals, and dreams, we are proud to be a home where people are accepted for who they are without pretense. And we are proud to create a loving community committed to liberation and diversity.
Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Bloom family, for that reading. The very last piece invites us to think about the canopy of wholeness that we all are under, very much like the pride flag that is behind you. And I'm going to invite us to chant Ufros Aleinu Sukat Shlomecha. You'll find it in Hebrew on 81 and 83 in the transliteration.
Ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha V'taknenu be'etza tova milfanecha Ve'hoshienu Ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha V'taknenu be'etza tova milfanecha Ve'hoshienu Ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha V'taknenu be'etza tova milfanecha Ve'hoshienu. So this quarantine has been hard for your CBH chorus. For many of us, singing together every Monday night was one of the highlights of our week, and we all looked forward to the joy of getting together to offer music, the joy of singing together and getting to offer our music to you and join in song with you from time to time. Of course, none of that is happening now and won't for quite some time. But as it turns out, we've been meeting virtually, and we've been meeting virtually every Monday night anyway. So what does a chorus do at a virtual meeting when they can't sing together? Well, we warm up like usual. We talk, we share, we laugh, we play games, we sing while muted. And recently, I've even begun to use technology to teach a new arrangement that I've written. You'll hear it soon. But the biggest thing that we've been doing with the chorus is this. Each singer is learning how to record themselves at home. Now, you may have seen those choir videos where everyone's in their little box. Well, those turn out to be a lot of work to produce, and we're working on that too. But what is less work is recording only the sounds of our voices. And so we've been upping our audio recording game so that we can make recordings for ourselves and for you. And because of the software that we're using to record ourselves, the chorus is actually able to hear each other and sing along with our friends' voices as if we were together again. It's been hard work, both technologically and emotionally. If you've ever heard your voice recorded, you know what I mean here. But thanks to the work of the chorus members themselves, our newly formed tech crew, and alto and teacher extraordinaire Ariella Friedman, we are now up and running and able to record ourselves. So tonight, I am proud to present to you the first fruit of these labors. What you're about to hear is 29 individual chorus singers, one guitarist and one violinist. You'll actually hear her this time. recording ourselves at home, using everything from a professional studio to an iPhone mic. And we all recorded individually, and this was all recorded in the last week and mixed together this afternoon. Well, we didn't have a visual yet, so I thought you'd enjoy a behind the scenes look at what the recording looks like. And I'm going to share this with you. And if you look over to the left of the screen, you'll see some names that that may be familiar to you. So let me bring this up. Share computer sound. Desktop 2. This is your CBH chorus offering you a wish for peace.
עוד יבוא שלום עלינו, עוד יבוא שלום עלינו, עוד יבוא שלום עלינו והכולם. עוד יבוא שלום עלינו, עוד יבוא שלום עלינו, עוד יבוא שלום עלינו והכולם. סלאם עלינו והכל העולם, סלאם שלום. סלאם עלינו והכל העולם, סלאם שלום. עוד יבוא שלום עלינו, עוד יבוא שלום עלינו, עוד יבוא שלום עלינו והכולם. עוד יבוא שלום עלינו, עוד יבוא שלום עלינו, עוד יבוא שלום עלינו והכולם. שנתי עלינו והכל העולם, שנתי שלום. שנתי עלינו והכל העולם, שנתי שלום. עוד יבוא שלום עלינו, עוד יבוא שלום עלינו, עוד יבוא שלום עלינו והכולם. עוד יבוא שלום עלינו, עוד יבוא שלום עלינו, עוד יבוא שלום עלינו והכולם. סלאם עלינו והכל העולם, סלאם שלום. סלאם עלינו והכל העולם, סלאם שלום. עוד יבוא שלום עלינו, עוד יבוא שלום עלינו, עוד יבוא שלום עלינו והכולם. עוד יבוא שלום עלינו, עוד יבוא שלום עלינו, עוד יבוא שלום עלינו
Thank you. And thank you, chorus.
So we're just going to invite us just to take a moment and close our eyes and kind of take in that incredible sense of joy and peace that can be inspired when our voices are woven together. And as Beth Ann beautifully noted, that it was as if we were watching a rainbow before us. And just allow that energy to open our hearts, and may we dedicate it to our well-being, the well-being of all we love, those who live in our city, our state, and our country, the well-being and the planet herself. Amen. I can invite Will to lead us in the Misha Berach.
So if you have people in your life for whom you wish refuah shlema, full and complete healing, please type their names into the chat. And we also include Richard Adler, Hillary Bauer, Loretta Bernstein, Bob Bloomfield, Murray Chass, Nefesh Chaya, Judy Cohen, Richard Cohen, Estelle Green, Sylvia Gross, Ronit Elk, Jerry Falcon, Larry Huntsberry, Matthew Kantrowitz, Mark Copen, Arnie Corfine, Michael Lappin, Elaine Levin, Bob Levy, Robin Levy, Ann Lewis, Paulette LeCourcier, Tommy Macon, Melissa Matya, Esther Myers, Sharon Miller, Sarah Newmark, Alan Olson, Dory Perling, Michael Perling, Ethan Post, Alan Rosen, Gary Rosenthal, Judy Roth, Harris Rotman, Cheryl Siegel, Clifford Greenfield, David Singer, Oren Staplewax, Elliot Stryker, Maria Talenti, Eve Turner, Dolly Wax, Shirley Weiss, Aline Tootie White, Phil Whiting, John Witherspoon, Sarah Dardick, Beth Ann Budicant, Sherry Cornett, Iris Bowles, Tom Reich, Deborah Krotenberg, Frank Noon, Patricia Noon Richardson, and Jamie Robertson. This is call and response. Mishebera Avotenu Mekor HaChaim Ve'imotenu Hu Yevarech Ve'yirafeh Et HaCholim Et HaCholim El Narefa Nala 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 Mishebera Avotenu Mekor HaChaim Ve'imotenu Hu Yevarech Ve'yirafeh Et HaCholim Et HaCholim El Narefa Nala El Narefa Nala El Narefa Nalo El Narefa Nalo El Narefa Nala El Narefa Nalo El Narefa Nalo El Narefa Nalo.
We bring a additional Misha Berach this evening that was written by Reconstructionist Rabbi Alana Sklover. She wrote this Misha Berach for victims of homophobia and transphobia for their healing, and I'd like to invite Adrian Lee to lead us with this prayer.
I'm gonna, yeah, it's okay. I'm just going to read the beginning and Adrian will take over. Amisha Berach for victims of homophobia and transphobia by Rabbi Alana Sklovar. Misha Berach Hareinu Avraham, Yitzhak v'Yaakov, Sarah, Rivka, Rachel v'Leah, Yosef, David v'Yonotan, Ruth v'Naomi.
May the one who blessed our ancestors, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Sarah, Rebecca, Rachel and Leah, Joseph, David and Jonathan, Ruth and Naomi, bring blessing and healing to all of us in our community of communities who feel or have felt the sting of homophobia or transphobia. We have been victims of verbal assault, street harassment, and physical violence. We have been misgendered out of malice, ignorance, and accident. We have been forced to perform and conform to genders that do not match our identity. We have been denied employment, promotion, housing, and educational opportunities. We have been made to feel other and unsafe in public and communal settings. We have been made to feel other and unsafe in Jewish spaces. We have a rate of suicide among our queer youth almost 5 times higher than among their heterosexual peers. And we have had our intimate actions criminalized and our unions made illegal. We have been denied service at restaurants, wedding venues, and bakeries. We have become estranged from family members and been made to feel unloved. We have not had access to restrooms and we have become, I just read that. We have not had access to restrooms and locker rooms that match our gender or been blocked from using them. We have been forced to choose to remain closeted or to cover our identities out of fear and discomfort. We have been erased or silenced in our history and sacred texts. In times of darkness, help us to recall the words of your prophet. I am Adonai, your God, who takes hold of your right hand and says to you, do not fear, I will help you. Grant us the courage to hold our heads high, to live into our truest selves, and to love openly, even as we move through our own process of healing. Help us to overcome the specters of self-doubt and self-loathing that arise from the trauma of hate. Holy One, in whose image all mankind is formed, help to soften the hearts and open the eyes of those who lose sight of the divinity in their neighbor, so that we may break the cycles and the speech patterns of homophobia and transphobia that are so deeply ingrained in our society. And let us say amen.
Amen. Nicole and Adrian, I know that was an emotionally powerful reading to read, and I appreciate you offering it for us. And want to take a moment to introduce our Devar. And when I saw that the Title VII case won, I know that there were many people in our community who could offer some perspective, but one of them that came to mind was Bob Schwartz. And for those of you, and I think there are only a few of you who may not know Bob, but Bob is one of our early original members and is often known for speaking, I would say, powerfully, his truth. And often Bob is a force to be reckoned with on one hand. And on the other hand, I want to say that to me, Bob has been one of the models of people who have recognized that there needs to be continued education and learning and growth. And so when Bob discovered that kids in our community were non-binary and transgender, it was really important for him to begin to take on that learning and to ask the questions that were needed. Bob is somebody who is really about continuing to uphold what is right and fair. In the history of our congregation, when there were conversations about whether straight people could be presidents of the synagogue, Bob was someone who advocated that, of course, we need to be a community that upholds a sense of equality for everyone. And that Bob is somebody for whom the law is incredibly important. And who understands and breaks things down in really interesting and important ways. So I'm really proud to introduce him and appreciate all that I have learned from him, his friendship and his passion and his sense of humor. He's listed under Blanche tonight, so Haley had a hard time finding him, but I'm glad that we were able to identify. And so let us welcome Bob Blanche Schwartz.
Looks like I got unmuted. Okay. I've got a disabled dog here with me that may need to be tended, but here we go. I was so excited when the Supreme Court came down with its decision last week. It just was, I didn't expect it to be as magnificent as it was. And I drew a lot of lessons from it. And the rabbi asked me if I would talk about it, so I'm going to do that. It's going to be a history lesson, a little bit of a sermon. It's going to have to do with a Reconstructionist perspective on law. I feel like I'm talking in a blank room. I can't hear anything. It's very disconcerting. I guess, Rabbi, you know what that's like, but here we go. All right. Reconstructionism. We talk about giving the past a vote, but not a veto. We argue with the Orthodox about a literalist or textualist versus, say, values-oriented approach to how we read Torah. There are people who say it was written in stone in Mount Sinai, it's a blueprint, you can't change any of it. And there's people who say the same thing about our Constitution. It says what it says and it never changes. Well, all right, I don't suppose there's a legislature out there that lets us, we can't lobby God to change the word, but I think we can look at the underlying values of the words and try to discern how those words would play out in an evolving society. And my approach to the law is the same. So that's where I'm starting from. I'm looking at this decision from the Supreme Court as the next one along a path of Reconstructionism fighting against literal textualism. And I find it instructive. I want to start with racial civil rights rather than LGBTQ civil rights. These are not identical. They're not parallel completely. They're analogous in some ways and not in others. But the racial civil rights struggle has a lot of common lessons, common experiences, and common progress that I think helps us. I want to start with the lawsuit called Perez versus Sharp. It was a 1948 decision of the California Supreme Court. 1948, 3 years after World War II, the same year that Harry Truman, by executive order, ordered the US military to be integrated, the Supreme Court of California, by a vote of 4-3, became the first state Supreme Court to declare an anti-miscegenation statute unconstitutional. The actual law of the statute was, this is also instructive, no license may be issued authorizing the marriage of a white person with a Negro, mulatto, Mongolian, or member of the Malay race. They didn't care if a white person married a Mexican, a Native American, or a Hindu, and they pointed that out in the actual, those are the words they used in the decision. And they didn't care if a mulatto married a Hindu or a Malay married a Negro. It was all about the white race. As we look at that today, we see It's cringeworthy. But that was a 4-3 vote. It was a 4-3 vote. And I'd like you to listen to what some of the dissents, the dissent pointed out. Oh, by the way, I should say the litigants came forward and said, we're both members of the Catholic Church. Our church does not frown on this marriage. And not only is it an equal protection thing, it's also an infringement on our First Amendment rights, our rights to practice our religion. The dissent didn't buy that. And I want to compare that to, in our congregation, when Fran and Rob and Shahar tried to get married, we had a similar situation. They got married by a Reconstructionist rabbi in a setting that did not purport to be a legally recognized marriage, but very similar. Of course, the court turned it down, but and what the dissent said in Perez v. Sharp is, it is difficult to see why such laws, valid when enacted and constitutionally enforceable in this state for nearly 100 years and elsewhere, all of a sudden are now unconstitutional under the same constitution with no change in the factual situation, with no change in the language of the document. So was it a clever textual analysis? Did some clever Talmudist figure out a different thing of what the California or the U.S. the U.S. Constitution had to say? No, I think evolving attitudes crept in, and you can argue all day long whether they were legislating from the bench, we're not unfamiliar with that term, or whether they were Reconstructionist jurists. It's interesting, by the way, that this religious freedom argument didn't work when they were trying to let two ladies get married or two people of different races get married, but it seems to work just fine if you're Hobby Lobby and you don't want to have to pay for the birth control of your employees as part of the health plan, or bake a cake for somebody that walks in off the street and wants to marry a same-sex partner. Well, we won't worry about that. The foolish consistency is the hobgoblins of small minds. But I would like, the Supreme Court came along, that's the US Supreme Court, and in 1967, they gave us the Loving versus Virginia decision that overturned a Virginia state law and all laws nationwide that banned interracial marriage. I want you to hear language from the lower court Virginia decision. This is the decision that was overturned. Here's the language from the lower court. Almighty God created the races, white, black, yellow, Malay, and red, and he placed them on separate continents. And but for the interference with his arrangement, there would be no cause for such marriage. The fact that he separated the races shows that he did not intend for the races to mix. That was the previous view. Now, how do you go from that with the same document and change the ruling? But Reconstructionism lets you do that. So now we go from this racial stuff to this LGBTQ stuff. We had three battles to fight. We had to fight the law, which said we were criminals, religion, which said we were sinners, and medicine, which said we were ill. And the way all of those got changed is by people coming out, by people making their presence known, by folks standing up and making people realize, oh, I know one of them. My uncle is one of them, my neighbor, my coworker. Just showing up. Isn't that what somebody said? 80% of life is just showing up. Well, you get in their faces. It's real easy to discriminate based on race. Nobody in your family is going to wake up and be of another race unless you're already a mixed race family. But anyone we get born into their families. And I think that that level of visibility is why we've progressed so quickly. So coming out, all right. Helen Gerganis, gay novelist, said in Falls, North Carolina in 1957, we had one way of coming out. It was called getting caught. All right. But by 1971, 1969, people were writing, they were gay, they were proud, they were good. And they were here and they were queer and everybody had to get used to it. All right, good. In 1971, two men went down to the marriage registry in Seattle, Washington, seeking a marriage license. And they sued when it wasn't issued to them. And the court said this wasn't sex discrimination because a man can marry a man can marry a woman, can't marry a man, but a woman can marry a man, can't marry a woman. They didn't see that as sex discrimination. They based it on what they then called the definition of marriage. And that is something that came along, and that's really been the basis of the marriage decision all along. Folks on our side are out there asking for marriage equality. Folks opposing our argument say that it's a matter of the definition of marriage. The very first decision from a state Supreme Court allowing same-sex marriage was a 4-3 decision from Massachusetts. The next decision was from the state of Washington. It was a 5-4 decision against same-sex marriage. The dissent in one could have been the majority opinion in the other. So when you look at them together, we had an 8-8 vote among two Supreme Courts. But once again, it was moving. Society was changing. People were getting used to this sort of a thing. And then the great thing happened. This is a very important thing. In 1986, all of the first-term senators coming up for re-election who rode in on Ronald Reagan's coattails in 1980, all these Southern Republicans got voted out of office after one term by Democrats. And all of a sudden, we had an extra, 8 or 9 senators who were very beholden to African-American and liberal voters in the South. And that gave us Anthony Kennedy on the Supreme Court instead of Robert Bork. Study your history. And Anthony Kennedy, who nobody expected to be terribly liberal, it turns out he's from Sacramento. He was on the faculty, the adjunct faculty at McGeorge Law School in Sacramento. And the dean of that law school was gay. And so Anthony Kennedy comes off to the Supreme Court having a strong personal and professional relationship with a very much respected gay dean of the law school and later judge who took this night school from the second floor of an office building to a 20+ acre campus. And he becomes the deciding vote in every gay rights case. So Bowers versus Hardwick, which refused to overturn the sodomy laws in '86, becomes Lawrence versus Texas a mere 17 years later. It was 57 years between Plessy v. Ferguson and Brown versus the board. Once again, the visibility and the fact that we grow up in the other side's families. So we got Lawrence v. Texas, and we got, it didn't take long after that, we got the Windsor case that overturned the domestic, what was it called? The Defense of Marriage Act. We got Obergefell, which gave us same-sex marriage. Scalia didn't like that. He cited it as evidence that the majority was ignoring the view of most Americans and not following the written words of the law. Well, there you have it, textualism versus reconstructionism. Now we get to this Bostock case that comes along. And it's the complete opposite of that 1971 same-sex marriage case from Seattle. that case in Seattle said it's not what sex you are, it's what sex your partner is. Both gays and straights are allowed to marry someone of the other sex, as if there was another sex. And now all of a sudden the Supreme Court sees it differently. They see, and they see it not just in the marriage context, which is a specially protected right, which has constitutional significance. They see it in legislation. They see that the word sex in the law, this is not a constitutional thing, in the law can be, let me say, twisted around your finger, and it can be turned around, and all of a sudden, it's not definition of marriage, it's sexual discrimination. It's not the relationship, it's sex discrimination, because if a man can get married to a woman, why can't a man get married to a man? And if a man who does that, well, a man who marries a woman can get a job, why shouldn't a man who marries a man be able to get a job? So that's where we find ourselves today. And I see this as a triumph of Reconstructionism over constructionism, over textualism. I guess there's two things I'm going to fade out on. And number one is a wonderful quote from I.F. Stone. Some of you may remember him. The only kinds of fights worth fighting are those you're going to lose, because somebody has to fight them and lose and lose and lose. So someday, somebody who believes as you do wins. And finally, this is attributed to Gandhi. First, they ignore you, and they ridicule you, then they fight you. They dig their heels in, and then you win. Thank you.
Ishikoff, thank you, Bob, so much. And thanks for Rebecca Grapevine. You can see in the chats all of the law cases that Bob took us through. And I think that we all will get an A in our next law class. So thank you for such a thorough understanding of how things have evolved. And let us just say yay for Reconstructionists in the law and in the synagogue. So I want to invite one of our members at large, Marcy Alt, to give some announcements this evening.
Alicia, there we go. Shabbat Shalom and welcome. So we're so glad that many friends from around Atlanta and around the country for our virtual services. Our regular daily and weekly gatherings continue in the coming week. Join us each weekday morning through the end of Mindful Moments. Join us each weekday morning through the end of June for Mindful Moments at 8:45. Mindful Moments is going to take a mindful pause during the month of July, but we will return in August. Finish your day with a 10-minute minyan at 7:45. The CBH board continues to meet weekly Tuesdays at 5:30, and join us for Shabbat morning services tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. Please join us next Friday, July 3rd for Shabbat services led by Gayan, with special guests Rabbi Micah Weiss and Naomi, I'm going to ruin this name. Is it Tush? I'm hoping.
Deutsch.
And she will be live from Philadelphia. We will light candles at 6:45 and services will start afterwards. And we hope to see you all there. On Monday, July 6th, there'll be a meditation and a chant with Gayan at 6 p.m. CBH members look for information on how to register for Let Me Entertain June. Ladies and gentlemen, presenting Mel Brooks. And it's hosted by CBH member Nicole Sage. This program is this Saturday, tomorrow at 8 o'clock, and it's an event not to be missed. We have a whole section of the website dedicated to the COVID resource and response. This is where you can find links with all the public Zoom for CBH Zoom gatherings, as well as links to practical and financial resources, and spiritual and mental health resources. Just go to the website at congregationbethaverim.org and you will see the main navigation across the top. It'll say COVID Central. Finally, if you are able, please consider making a donation to CBH. They will help support these offerings. We know that many people right now are facing a shifting financial landscape. And some of our members who've stepped up are going to need to step back from donations. We ask that other members and friends, please consider stepping up. Really, every donation helps. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. There are a couple extra announcements that weren't on the page. I wanted to see if either Rebecca Staple-Wax or Mackenzie Wren wanted to give an announcement about an exciting program that Sojourn is sponsoring on Sunday nights. Either one of you can unmute yourself.
I got it. Hi, everybody. Happy Pride Shabbat. I'm Rebecca Staple-Wax, and Sojourn presents Pride Inside. We're exploring what pride means for us inside us, and we wanted very much to give back to the arts community by having a 2.5-hour Pride Festival. And Rabbi Josh will be there along with Rabbi Sandra Lawson and wonderful other people that you've met, Joy Layden along the way, and Hannah Rothman, and about 20 other people. And really, really excited to be able to give back to queer artists. We're raising money for those that have been affected by COVID-19, and look forward to seeing you all at Pride Inside on Sunday at 7 p.m. And we'll be sure that you get all the information you need. Happy Pride, everybody.
Great. For folks who've been participating in Mindful Moments, you heard that we're taking a mindful pause. There are some folks who are organizing some things organically. You can be in touch with Rebecca Leary-Saffon, who I believe will be hosting a couple of things where she'll put it out on the listserv and we'll help people connect to her. And then lastly, Ariella Friedman is helping us as our High Holy Day project manager. Believe it or not, I literally had 10 hours of meetings this week solely focused on High Holy Days already, and it's not even July. And we hope to have a very exciting ways that we can connect, some traditional, some innovative, some on Zoom, some perhaps in small gatherings, and some that you can do in your home together. But what we want is your feedback so that we can curate a High Holy Day experience that really in this moment suits your needs and allows us to kind of take this opportunity and reconstruct some things alongside delivering some of the aspects of High Holy Days that are essential to us. So you filling out the survey will do us a great service in the preparation that we need to do. So we're gonna work to the conclusion of our service. We're almost at the end, and I'm gonna tell you, you wanna stay for the very end, or at least I think you do, for our surprise song. But instead of the Aleinu this evening, I wanted to invite us to sing Oseh Shalom as an alternative. And start the dancing.
Oseh Shalom bimroma, Hu yaseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol yoshvei tevel, ve'imru, amen. Oseh Shalom bimroma, Hu yaseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol yoshvei tevel, ve'imru, amen. Hey, la 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 la, la 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 la, la 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 la, la 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 שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ועל כל יושבי תבל ואמרו אמן.
Friends, I'm going to invite you to unmute yourselves. You can put the names of your loved ones in the chat if you're saying Kaddish, because it is one's your site, or it is the you are in ritual mourning. Find Mourner's Kaddish on page 131. As you mute yourself, I invite you to say the names of your loved ones, and then we'll join together in saying this prayer.
Michael Bauer,
Eric Reckelman.
Joseph Bolts.
Jackie Kopolitz.
Mortimer Biggs.
Jorge Castillejo.
Sally Baines.
Alicia Romero Caicedo.
Sylvia Buchanan.
Mitch Haller and Bruce Haller.
Bernie Gross.
Joseph Beckman.
Helen Weinstein.
Zikronam livracha, may their memories be a blessing. Yid kadal v'yid kadash shemei Rabbi. Yama divrach hirute v'yamlich malchute. V'chayechon v'yomechon v'chaye dechol Beit Yisrael. Bagalav v'man kari v'imru amen.
Amen.
Yehesh me Rabbi v'vorach le'olam omei amaya. Yiparach v'yishtabach v'pa'ar v'tromam v'naseh. V'tadar v'taleh v'talal shmei dekutsha b'richu. Le'ila min kol birchata v'shirata. Tush b'chata v'nechemata da'amiram be'alma v'imru amen. Yesh lama Rabba min shemaya. V'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom imromav, Hallelujah, aseh shalom. Aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'al kol yoshvei tevel v'imru amen.
Amen.
May their memories be for a blessing. We find an alternative to the prayer for the end of hiding. This came from our Pride Seder that Rabbi Julie Pfau and I wrote in 2001. And I was delighted to find this prayer, and I thought that it speaks to who we are in some powerful ways. And so I'd like to invite the Caldas family to lead us in this reading. You can find it in the chat. It's called We Choose Life.
Source of life. As lesbians, gay men, bisexuals, straight, transgender, and queer people, we recognize your divine spark reflected within us. The brilliance of our spirits has given us hope and strength to live with integrity, true to our minds and hearts. We are grateful for the inner strength and the courage that has unfolded within us and enabled us to affirm our sexual and gender identities.
While this path has not been easy, we feel your presence within and among us, guiding us to claim our rightful place in our rich Jewish tradition and culture. We have come together as a community claiming Judaism as our own and welcoming all who join us. This is tantamount to choosing life, to choosing blessing. As LGBTQ Jews and straight allies, we choose life, we choose blessing, and we experience the grace of being authentic, whole, and at peace.
Amen. So when I was preparing for this service, I was speaking with Gayanne, and she said, you can ask Will to pretty much lead anything. And I thought, it's Title VII, we want to celebrate. I'm going to ask Will to sing Donna Summer's She Works Hard for the Money. And thought that was funny. And then I kept thinking there has to be a song that represents work that we can celebrate to. And then I had the brainstorm, and I've asked Will to with this song that I want to invite you to sing along.
Tumble out of bed and I stumble to the kitchen, pour myself a cup of ambition and yawn and stretch and try to come to life. Jump in the shower and the blood starts pumping. Out on the street the traffic starts jumping with folks like me on the job from 9 to 5. Working 9 to 5, what a way to make a living, barely getting by. It's all taking and no giving. They just use your mind and they never give you credit. It's enough to drive you crazy if you let it. 9 to 5 for service and devotion. You would think that I would deserve a fat promotion. Want to move ahead, but that boss won't seem to let me. I swear sometimes that man is out to get me. They let you dream just to watch them shatter. You're just a step on the boss man's ladder, but you got dreams they'll never take away. You're in the same boat with a lot of your friends, waiting for the day your ship will come in and the tide's gonna turn and it's all gonna roll your way. You're working 9 to 5, what a way to make a living, barely getting by. It's all taking and no giving. They just use your mind and you never get the credit. It's enough to drive you crazy if you let it. 9 to 5, yeah, they got you where they want you. There's a better life and you think about it, don't you? It's a rich man's game, no matter what they call it. And you spend your life putting money in his wallet. Shabbat shalom. Da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Shabbat shalom. Dolly wrote this. Da-da-da-da-da-da. Shabbat shalom. Da-da-da-da-da-da. Shabbat, 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 Shabbat shalom.
Combination of me having to deal with my own stuff and then having to, I've never felt overwhelmed by being a psychologist.
Shabbat shalom, everybody.
Will,
At the same time, my patients at the same time. It's really hard.
Thank you,
You know what I mean?
Zaslow.
As far as the pandemic, I'm just like done. Like people call me and I hate talking on the
Need a
phone.
wig.
Like you guys, but just being on like video screens all day. You know, I am. Yeah, I love doing video with patients. The problem is people quicker than I'm dealing with now than what I usually do.
It was a really awesome conversation. Get all intro.
Shabbat shalom, everyone.
Shabbat shalom.
Thank
Birthday, Ruben.
Hi, Rick.
Listen, Rick. Okay, where they gone?
What did he say?
You'd be one with everything.
Oh, yeah.
Hi, Amy and Rob.
It's always funny when people.
Hi, Elizabeth and Rick.
Barry, it's good to see you. Welcome from Oklahoma.
Bob, thanks for your
Yeah, very.
Aw, hey, Lori.
Good to see you.
Yeah.
Well, where do you want to watch
your
it?
Our bird was singing with you the whole time.
Good.
Thank you.
Barry,
I enjoyed it.
I was trying to unmute you 1,000 times.
Thanks, you finally got it.
So, Bob, I did not confuse him. I said I was going to ask him to sing a Donna Summer song, but there had to be a different one. I knew that was Dolly Parton.
Oh, Mikey.
Just get my earring.
I couldn't dig up a wig. Maybe next year.
That was incredible.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Will. That was great.
Stephen, Margie,
Jane, good seeing you.
Thank you, Rabbi. Thanks, Rabbi. Thanks, Will.
Thank you, absolutely.
Yusuf was great.
Good to see you, Francis.
Good to see you too. So much joy.
Thank you, Bob.
It was well attended tonight.
Good job, Blanche.
Shalom.
Thank you, Patrick.
Hey, Patrick.
Hey, everyone.
How long did I go on? I didn't time it.
It was about an
You
hour
were
and a half.
fine.
That's what it felt like.
9.5 minutes, Bob.
Really?
Was not too long.
Give us a good background, Bob.
Hi, Rebecca.
Hi, Bubby. How are you?
Hey,
Mwah.
Rebecca.
Tell you what, Bob, we'll watch it on the YouTube.
Night all.
Hi, Bob.
Hey, Rob. Hey, Amy.
Oh, my Lord.
Oh my God. Look at her. She looks exactly the
There's
same.
a Plymouth.
The Garfinkles now.
Garfinkles.
Maybe.
Eh.
I don't know.
Hey, who do you say you are?
Haley, will you put a link to
You can't be a real Plymouser if you're first.
Are you on point?
Thank you for the kisses. I didn't hear.
Hey, George, there's two of you on.
Josh, did you get that link that I put on your Facebook page about the song about Jerusalem?
I don't think so.
Check it out. I put it on your Facebook. It's really awesome.
Okay, I'll do that. Clinton, do you see those two links?
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Good night. Good Shabbos, everybody.
Look forward to seeing you again.
Shabbos.
So Queen is
Some of you let us entertain you. See some Pride Inside.
Thanks for a joyful service.
You're very welcome. I love the bird.
He loved you too.
Simon, we got to get together.
Bye.
Well, thanks for Odiovo. It was really great to hear it.
Yes.
Thank you, Julie.
Bye, guys.
Absolutely.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye, everyone. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat
All our miracle workers. Thank you.
On to my next Zoom call.
Good night.
Good night.